Can we have Justin C? Justin C is newly minted PhD and a postdoctoral fellow at Canberra University. And she used to work with us in the Coastal Cities at Risk One with Tony. And in fact, our Master of Disaster Risk and Resilience, which recently has been ranked as one of the best in Far East Asia by the France-based rating agency Ido Universal, Justine and I did hold the survey, like that's okay. Okay, Justine? Yeah. Hi, Justine.
Do I share my screen?
Yeah. Can you I think you have to remove your screen, Joy. Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much, Professor Emma Porio, and to the organizing committee of APSA 2021 for this opportunity to share my research in the Philippines. So my name is Justin. I'm a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Canberra and former member, as Dr. Porio said, of the Coastal Cities at Risk project of the Ateneo de Manila and Manila Observatory. So my short presentation this morning is focused on this concept of disaster justice, which in the literature looks into the differential impacts, not only of climate change per se, but also of the interventions that are meant to help communities adapt to climate change. Disaster justice is found at the confluence of environmental, climate, and social justice. It's concerned with this interplay between distributive and procedural dimensions of justice. However, a key research gap in the literature is that a great deal of research is focusing on distributive justice alone. And thus, procedural justice, or the questions of who is involved in decision making, how are people involved, and to what extent are they involved, needs to be taken a little bit more into consideration. One exception is Brina Holland's notion of procedural justice in terms of political capability. She draws from David Schlossberg, Martha Nussbaum, and Amartya Sen's capabilities framework, and argues that vulnerable groups should be given this political capability to shape adaptation decisions. But what is this political capability? I don't think that has quite been explicitly explained in Holland's paper. So that's why I want to draw upon this and expand this notion of political capability and argue that there should be three meta capabilities or three smaller capabilities that would comprise this bigger notion of political capability. So these three meta capabilities are necessary to facilitate these conditions under which vulnerable groups can have this capability to influence decision-making in climate change adaptation. And there are three. I argue that first, voice, or the ability to raise your concerns and be recognized. Second, participation, or the ability to participate meaningfully and to engage with powerful stakeholders. And third, empowerment, or the ability to be informed and capacitated with knowledge and skills. I argue that we need these three so that we could achieve procedurally just climate change adaptation. I looked at San Isidro Resettlement Site in Iloilo City as a case study. When I did my fieldwork here in 2018, there were a number of NGOs implementing resettlement as a climate change adaptation strategy in the community. First is the Homeless People's Federation of the Philippines, or from now on I'll call Homeless People's Federation, which has warmly welcomed me to hosted me during my fieldwork. Now, their relocatees were supported by the Homeless People's Federation. They applied for a small loan, just small 3%, to finance the construction of their houses. The other NGOs that I looked at, but I'm going to call them NGO 2, 3, and 4, offered prefabricated housing units in exchange for sweat equity. So my research methodology is to explore procedural justice using surveys. So we looked at the perceptions of procedural justice, administered the household survey from April to June in the language of Hiligaynon. We stratified the sample according to population size of each of the 4 NGOs, and then we triangulated these surveys with 25 semi-structured interviews conducted with government officials, NGO staffs, community leaders, and members of the community. So here are my key research findings. First, in terms of voice, the survey respondents reported significant differences in the degree to which they felt that they were able to voice out their thoughts and concerns. You will see in the table in front of you, the first column, that's Homeless People Federation, the results from there. You will see that those resettled, they felt more able to express their voices compared to other resettlers. And so we try to understand why is this so? And based on the interviews, two major themes emanated. First, public forums. Their members participate in monthly forums where they can express and share their issues and concerns with one another. But second, they also have this community-to-community sharing, because it's a nationwide federation. So they have these meetings, discussions, and workshops with other federations, other community groups where they share their ideas and experiences. And that has really helped them find this voice to express their issues and concerns. Second, capabilities, participation. Based on the table in front of you, you will see that out of the 4 NGOs, once again, those resettled by Homeless People's Federation reported being more involved in the planning of their resettlement compared to the others. Two major themes were recording from the interviews when asked why are they involved. First, participation in the entire resettlement process. Homeless People's Federation involves all of its residents in every stage of the resettlement project, from planning to design, to the procurement of materials, to the housing construction. Second, participation in governance. Their members take part as steering committee members and have signed a number of memorandum of agreements with the local city government, City of Iloilo, as partners in different projects. Finally, another key findings would go with the empowerment. Respondents under Homeless People Federation expressed greater satisfaction about the extent to which they have been capacitated. They were involved in the planning of their resettlement. Respondents from Homeless People Federation attended several workshops and training sessions to learn about housing design, about legislation, policies about housing. They were taught how to do financial estimates. They were taught how to do procurement of materials and introduced to the basic stages of housing construction. They were even involved in several livelihood programs. So in conclusion, the participation of a wide range of stakeholders, especially the poor and vulnerable groups, it's often promoted in several policy responses to climate change. However, participation is often more talked about than practiced. So participation alone is not enough to guarantee procedural justice. This presentation argues that we can learn from the experience of Homeless People's Federation in Iloilo and work to build people's 3 meta capabilities: voice, participation, and empowerment. A combination of the 3 can help advance procedural justice and enable vulnerable groups to renegotiate political outcomes to achieve policies, strategies, and programs that can ultimately benefit them. That's my presentation. I'm looking forward to your questions later on. Thank you so much.